You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 323. How to start the new year after a breakup when a fresh start feels overwhelming and painful. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, beautiful brave hearts. Welcome to 2026. So freaking fun. I'm having a blast so far. How are you guys doing? So I actually have three main intentions this year, and I'd love to share them with you if you are open to it. And I can share with you how I landed on these, and you can also come up with your own annual intentions if it feels aligned. Now, before we dive in, I want to share that my beautiful, amazing virtual assistant, Ray, whom I adore, and I have actually set up a really fun page where you can actually ask me any question that you have, and I'll do an entire podcast episode on it. So you can ask me something that's like related to your breakup. You can ask me something related to building your bigger and better life, or even if it's something personal, if there's anything you desire to know about me, I'm pretty much an open book. So if you have any specific questions that you'd love for me to answer on the podcast, you can drop that question for me at dorothyabjohnson.com/podcast question. And I'll link that in the show notes for you as well. But I will not share your name. This will be anonymous. It's just you put your name and your email in there. We collect that so that if we do create a podcast off of your question, we just want to make sure that we email you and let you know that it's been chosen. So don't worry about me sharing any of your personal information that you might include in your question. I'll be sure to remove any identifiers that you give me, and it will be completely anonymous. But I am very excited to be able to offer this to all of you. I love when things are more interactive and I hear from all of you. And this year, I'm actually going to be live with all of you so much more than I was the past 2 years. So I'm loving this already. Also, feel free to come hang out with me on Instagram at Breakup Coach Dorothy and send me a message about what you want more of on the podcast or what's been working for you, how things are going. I literally just love hearing from you guys so much. And yeah, I look at all of those messages personally. So let's get started on today's podcast episode. So this year, I actually tried out like 4 or 5 different New Year's rituals, and they were drastically different. People had all kinds of crazy stuff. There was one of them that I actually paid for, and it was like a 6-hour ordeal. And I'm like, this isn't happening. I didn't do it. So I'm just in a different season of life that I don't have, and I don't even desire to sit down and do 6 hours of self-development work on myself. Anyways, there's one that really landed for me, so I'm going to share about it here and how we morphed it for my clients inside of the Bigger and Better Life Mastermind. So I actually follow a girl named Jules Acree. Love her. She's so cool. So she has a Substack called Motherhood, and I'm really obsessed with it. Her writing's really great. She shared her New Year's ritual there, and it was a motherhood life wheel. So now, we've talked about the life wheel before on this podcast, and I use it a lot with many of my clients. But for the new year, what I found was so interesting and cool about Jules is that she recreated her own categories based on her motherhood journey this year. So I too took her categories and answered all of the questions that she had for each category. And it uncovered 3 main areas that I want to focus on inside of 2026. And then it also helped me create a word for the year. Now, I'll link her Substack so that if you're a mother and you want to use the same categories, you can do that. Or If you're not a mom and you want to craft your own categories rather than use the standard life wheel, I have crafted some categories that I think will be really important for you, specifically if you're going through a breakup, right? So my clients inside of Bigger and Better Life Mastermind, they actually have projects that they've been working on. So it was pretty easy for us to kind of understand what their categories were. But if you are starting from a blank slate, I have personally crafted some of these categories that I felt might be good and fun and aligned for where you are, especially if you were coming fresh off of a breakup or a divorce. And I know that when you're in that phase, a blank slate can feel oftentimes overwhelming, pressure-filled, confusing. There are a lot of unknowns. So I've made these categories very much about like you and your growth and you specifically, and less about like the world around you. Okay, so let's talk about some of these categories that you could use. And I like to pick 10. The first one is emotional maturity, emotional regulation, right? This is all about how well do I handle my reactivity? How do I have my emotional boundaries? Could be one of them. Community support during this time could be a whole separate category. Self-growth and self-exploration. Another category could be nervous system or biology baseline, right? So like making that a priority and how I handle my nervous system and getting clear about my biology baseline and keeping up with my physical body. Another category could be mental real estate, right? How another word for that might be like energetic cleanliness. Am I cleaning up my mind? Am I keeping that clean? Am I keeping that sharp? How much is my ex taking up of my mental real estate? A sense of safety. This is so important during this time, right? Another category could be self-trust. How much do I trust myself and where do I want that to be? Identity without them. So like self-identity could be a whole category. Attachment to the past or attachment to outcomes or attachment to your ex could be a whole separate category. Capacity for pleasure, how much pleasure and desire and love are you allowing into your life? Future orientation, am I spending more time on my future versus my past? Do I know where I'm going in my future? Exploring that. Your self relationship, so the relationship with yourself could be a completely separate category. Another category that really intrigues me that I love so much in exploring with other individuals is your authentic desires. Like, what do you deeply desire? What have you not allowed yourself to desire when you were in the partnership or even before the partnership ever was a thing? But what am I not allowing myself to want? Or like, am I allowing myself to go after my authentic desires? Another category could be like confidence and your capability to go after a life without your ex. And lastly, a big, broad topic category could be bigger and better life. Like, do I know what that is? Do I have a grounding in that? Have I been taking steps towards it? Now, you pick 10 categories and don't overthink it. Like literally just pick the 10 categories that kind of like interest you in looking at. And then for each category, ask yourself 3 questions that explore that area. Now, you could utilize a coach for this. You could utilize perhaps ChatGPT or that beautiful brain of yours to craft 3 questions that are specific to that category. Now, I've already done this with a lot of individuals in my Bigger and Better Life Mastermind. So if you want some generic questions to help kind of jog that or start that for you, here's kind of how we did this inside of my mastermind. So for each category on a scale, you're going to rate each category on a scale from 1 to 10 where you are now, and then 1 to 10 where you want to be. And then these generic questions that you can ask yourself for each category, if you don't want to come up with specific ones for yourself, you can ask yourself, what is this? So if I picked emotional regulation or emotional maturity, I can ask myself, what is this and how would I define this for myself? Then I would ask, what in the last year felt good around this area, or what has felt, emotionally regulating or emotional maturity like in the past year. So those are 2 questions. And then the last question that I would ask yourself for each category is, what would bring me more of this in 2026? Or what would bring more of this in the new year, right? And you can insert that life wheel topic. So what would bring more emotional regulation into 2026? Some other blanket questions that might resonate for you is like, if I could change one thing about this topic, what would it be? When do I feel most like myself? What would taking care of insert topic actually look like right now? What makes me feel most like me? What's working well? What's not working well? If I could simplify this, how might I? What's the story I tell around this area right now? What do I want to believe about myself in this area right now? So after you complete that for each category, I like to kind of zoom out and look at the whole picture. And these were 3 questions that we asked ourselves inside of BBL. The first one being, what surprised me when I looked at this, honestly, for myself? The second one being, which 1 or 2 areas feel like they're asking for care right now? And lastly, what's one small shift I could make in January that would support me where I actually am? And I think these 3 specific questions are from Jules Acree, so I don't want to take ownership over those. She asked these questions in her motherhood life wheel, I think, at the end. So now after you do that, what felt really good to me was choosing 3 to 4 main takeaways. And those takeaways tended to be a bit more action oriented, but it really helped me craft my 3 intentions or my New Year's resolutions. And then from there, you can kind of sit with those 3-ish New Year's resolutions and explore what is kind of one word that encompasses the work that I'm doing in 2026. So I would love to spend a little bit of time looking at what this looked like for myself. So what came through for me was, number 1, movement. Move, 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 move. I worked with a great coach named Kate all last year around my fitness. And one of the biggest things that I realized in that journey was that when I don't move, I actually start to feel kind of like achy, or I feel like I have like ailments. And I used to think that meant I need to rest more. But what I actually found was the opposite. For me, I would go to the gym and my back would be hurting. But as soon as I went to the gym and actually got in there and like lifted weights and built up that muscle, my back would stop hurting. It was like I needed to be building muscle and my body needed to be moving more often. And so I wanted to be sure that this year I could do that, but I needed to do it in a very scalable, sustainable way that was different than what I was doing last year. And so what I started with was just each day I'm doing some sort of movement. Like I'm incorporating movement in any way, shape, and form that I can, and mostly and primarily walking. And instead of jumping into like, oh my gosh, I have to hit 10,000 steps a day, I actually just wanted to start with building the habit of it first. So getting outside each day or using my walking pad and really making it a non-negotiable. It doesn't matter how many steps I take or how many miles I do or how long I'm walking, but can I make the habit of movement into my day-to-day? And of course, throughout the year, I plan on incorporating Pilates, and I love gym sessions already, but I just want to build the habit of like strong core movement. Secondly, this one's going to sound a little bit weird, but my next focus was really like a husband who's obsessed with me, which ultimately kind of breaks down to like me being obsessed with me. And I know this seems very odd or, weird coming from myself. And for those of you who are going through a breakup right now, and I see you and I love you and I'm holding space for you, I promise you I do not bring up my husband to like shove it in your face that I'm married while you're currently like going through divorce or a breakup. I remember celebrating with all of you when I got engaged, and I had some people really angry and upset with me about it, and I stopped sharing a lot about myself personally. But I really want to change that because I love being myself and I feel bad that I dimmed myself because of those individuals. Because ultimately I know that those of you who are listening in and who do truly love me and the information that I provide and the content that I've, worked on all these years, I think you actually do truly love when I share about myself. And I don't know. I know that those of you who truly love me and love the content I create love to also celebrate the bigger and better life that I've built for myself after epic heartbreak. And for that, I really appreciate you. And I hope by me sharing about this specific intention today, it one shows you what's available and possible on the other side of heartbreak. I didn't know that I was going to be able to create love when I went through my big heartbreak, and to be married on the other side of that to someone who deeply loves me and cherishes me is, I really, appreciate that. And then secondly, I think I want you to notice that even when you get what you want in life, because I am literally living the bigger and better life that I wanted with my ex without my ex. It's so weird and mind-boggling. But there's still a sense of 50-50 on the other side of it. There's still a 50% negative and 50% positive. So when it comes to this intention, my husband and I, in the first year of this postpartum experience for both of us, I would not consider us struggling by any means. And honestly, it's more of a me thing. I felt really disconnected from time to time in the partnership, but it's always like coming from my own self. Like I know the disconnection is me and I know where it's coming from. And honestly, this year we're starting out the year really great. So I'm really proud of us for having moved through the first year postpartum. And I feel like we got through a lot of like the thick of it, and now I'm feeling like lit the fuck up again. But I want to feel like desirable and wanted, and what's the word? Like sexy, seductive, like delicious. And that really starts with me, not necessarily him. And I'm working on feeling that way about myself. And the more I do, the more I notice it from him. And that's been so delicious and fun. And so the action item here is that we agreed on a Tuesday night non-negotiable date night. So every Tuesday, it's a non-negotiable. And if we don't have childcare, we just said we're going to pick up Teddy and bring him with us, period. But it's a must. And I think it'll be really fun at the end of the year to say, hey, we went on 52 dates, and my end goal is actually truly being like obsessed with myself so much that it's undeniable. What's the word? Undeniable that my ex, or not my ex. That's funny. Maybe my ex is totally obsessed with me too, and I just don't know it. But that I also have a husband who's super obsessed with me as well, which, let me be very clear, my ex is obsessed. Oh my God, I keep saying ex. That's hilarious. Let me be clear. My husband, I just talk about exes so much that I'm like not used to talking about my husband on the podcast. You guys, this is funny. So my husband is truly obsessed with me. He would... Anytime I would be like, well, I want you to be obsessed. He's like, I am. And it's literally a block on my end from receiving it and feeling it because I am not like fully landed and grounded in like being deliciously obsessed with myself. And I just haven't been like a turned on version of myself in a while because I've been so mental in my motherhood journey and just like learning how to pick up and do motherhood and entrepreneur. It feels like I've got so many things going on. So it's like I'm truly manifesting like a much more playful, alive version of myself in this year. And that's kind of like what my intention number 2 is all about. And lastly, I think this is a really big one. Number 3 is like no complaining. No complaining for the whole year. And this is a really exciting one for me because like I said, I am at this point in my life where I truly built the bigger and better life that I wanted with my ex when I went through my rock bottom breakup. I have everything and more that I wanted with him without him. And yet I still find myself complaining about things. It is mind-boggling and crazy. Like sometimes I wish I could just send stuff to past me and she'd be like, boo, stop complaining. Like you literally got everything that you wanted. Like how could you have how can you complain about any of it? It's crazy. And it really hit me on New Year's Eve night when the fireworks went off at midnight, and it woke me up, and I was worried it would wake up Teddy. And then my poor Great Dane Tinkerbell, she loses her mind over fireworks. I feel so bad for her. And I was like, why is this not a firework-free neighborhood? I live in Florida. I feel like it should be firework-free. And I just heard my mind in my head just complaining and complaining and complaining. And I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm done. I'm done. I'm so sick of the complaining. Every single moment, my friends, in my life has been handcrafted by God for me, by the universe for me. I am so complete with complaining. I'm done. No more. And I'm so grateful for what I have in life. And I'm going to start acting like it. Like it hit me that like my actions do not back up how grateful I am for every single thing that has been in my life, for the fact that I get to live my bigger and better life. I get to do the job like that I have always wanted. I have the husband that I've always wanted. I have the baby that I always wanted. I have the house that I always wanted. I live where I used to vacation. Knock it the fuck off with the complaining door. Just stop. Full stop, you know? And so yeah, I'm aligning myself to that, period. And it felt so clear and it feels so good. I'm obsessed. And it just makes me wonder, like, how will my life be different at the end of 2026, having spent a whole year with no complaints? Like, how freaking cool. I'm excited about it, which honestly, like, the more I've been thinking about it and talking about it, not complaining is also going to help with the first two intentions too, because not complaining is super attractive to myself and to other people, right? And if I can't complain about like the movement piece of like having to go to the gym or whatever, then I just do the movement and it takes all the mind drama out of it. How fun, right? I'm so excited. So all of those intentions led me to talking them out with my coach, my multiple coaches. And one specific coach, Jill, was like, well, it kind of sounds like your word for the year is naked. And I'm like, oh my God, I love this so much, right? Like, I want to look good naked. That's always been a statement I say. I want to be more of my open and honest and most vulnerable and authentic self in all areas of my life, including the podcast and my business, but also like in my personal life. I'm just done people pleasing and I'm done tiptoeing around other people. And I'm just so eager for like the rawness of 2026 for me. So there you have it, my 3 intentions for 2026 and my word naked. So I would love to know what your intentions are and the word you're going to choose for this year. And also, just a side note, I wanted to share this like fun activity that I've been doing in both of my coaching programs that has been super fun and we've been loving it. It's Breakup Bingo, like Breakup Bingo and Bigger and Better Life Bingo. So I created bingo cards for both of my groups, and each square has like a fun little thing they do or watch or create based on where they are in their process, right? Whether they're going through a breakup or whether they're working towards their bigger and better life. And honestly, it's the 8th as I'm recording this, and some people have actually already blacked it out, which I'm like, do I need to make it more difficult? Or they've just been so eager and excited that they wanted to dive in. I don't know. But their entire bingo cards are like blacked out. It's crazy. But I'm actually giving out fun prizes. Last year, I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. I gave out $1,000 to each person who participated, which was super fun. And at the end of the month, I'm going to announce the prizes for this year and what's going to be incorporated with that. And it's just such a fun way to like kick off the year and like just go all in deep with your intentions. So I think what might be fun for those of you listening is obviously one, join us inside and you can do this with us, which is amazing. But also you could create your own bingo cards based on the work that you did inside of this episode today to really help you take action and kind of jumpstart your new year with that in a gamified way. So once you decide on your intentions, you can make, different squares out of your intentions. And it's like so fun. So fun. All right. I love you, my brave hearts. I hope you're having a fabulous beginning of your year. And I will talk to you next time. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.